day, you all. This is Creative Works by Annie, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be working on the Postmortem Doily. For those who just have a couple of quick questions, I do have a little short video about my most asked sections of the doily that trip people up. So if you just need a little bit of help, go check that one out, okay? That way you don't need to fast forward and search anything. Because for the center part, I'm not going to be doing the little marking the times, okay? So in this video, I'm just going to be working the skeleton part, and then the part 2, I will be working the border section, okay? So you can find this pattern on both my Etsy and my Ravelry page. I will put links to those down below. And with that, let's get started. I am using Aunt Linda's, this is classic size 10 in a natural color. This is the one that I normally make my doily in. And I'm using, it's a vintage hook. It's called Dirts. I don't know where I got it from, but this is my favorite hook to work my postmortem patterns on. It's relatively about a 1.7 millimeter hook. So just, oh, Swiss made. So just use the hook that you favor when you work for your thread, okay? Because this pattern, you can also, like most of my patterns, you can make them in thread or you can make them in yarn. I do recommend cotton because some things do need to be blocked. This one does need to be blocked because you can see it's a little wavy. Okay, so before I get started though, I'm going to say that I've made quite a few of these, and so I'm going to be working with my patterns so I can tell you the row. However, this is my normal cheat sheet. Okay, that's how many I've made, and this is just to make sure I don't lose count on certain steps. And this pertains to the first round of the borders. So yeah, but today I'm going to give you the row numbers so that way you can crochet along with me when you pick up your pattern. Which, even if you can't read the pattern and you just want to crochet along with me, I would really appreciate it because it does help me to keep creating, keeps me into thread. If you can just purchase it, it's $2.99, and it would help me out a lot. It just keeps me going. I try to keep all my patterns really nice and cheap, and I do try to offer some free ones. So if you'd like to just support me, go buy the pattern, okay, on Etsy or Ravelry. And then also, working with me here, if you don't really work with patterns too well or able to read patterns too well, you never know. This might help you a little bit more to understand the patterns. Okay, let's get started. Enough waffling on. I'll try to keep right to the pattern. So, but if you've seen my coffee times, you know I like to waffle. Okay, I got my tape on my finger. I got my hook. Oh, and let me see, where's my little, I don't think I'll need scissors for a bit, but I will go grab a pair of scissors and stick them to the side there. My child safety whiskers, yeah. I have so many scissors, it's pathetic. Okay, so we're going to start with our slip stitch. And if my fingers work today, we're going to chain 23. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I know the pattern calls for 22, but I just find that the loop on the end is a little small, so I changed it to 23. For my everyday thing. Oh, and I also want to do a little disclaimer. I'm going to put up a little thing right now. I have made so many of these that for my personal crocheting of them, because I do go fast and I've made little shortcuts for myself, I'm going to actually show you the shortcuts in here. Some might be an extra chain. So if you have your pattern sitting next to you, or minus a chain. So if you have your pattern sitting next to you, go grab a pen, and if I say something a little different, just mark it on there. Just like, okay, yeah, she adapted this. But I hesitate to actually make changes in the pattern itself because I do have a Spanish version of this, and which I'm going to try to make this video other language capable. So it is going to be slightly different, and you'll see more of that on my border rounds. But for the center skeleton, this is basically the biggest change. Okay, so after making our row of 23 chains, I'm going to count back to the 8th one. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And put a double crochet right in there. Now it doesn't matter if you're doing the 1 loop, 2 loops, it doesn't matter because you're going to be covering that up anyways, okay? We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip 2 chains, double crochet. Oop, lost my grip there. Let me start that one over. I'm going to skip 2 and double crochet in the next one. Okay, now we're going to chain 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to skip 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to put a double crochet in that next one. Okay, we're going to chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next one, chain 2, and double crochet in the next one. We're going to chain 5 so we can start our turning. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm going to lay down this real quick and explain something. Now this is basically the most important row of this whole entire piece. Okay, I've had some people message me, they don't know where the stitches go, and I'm like, oh, right there. And it breaks my heart when I say, you're going to have to frog all the way in there, like 1 row into the border. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. So at this point, make sure your piece looks like this. And if you have the pattern, you can easily, because I have wonderful, nice, large pictures, you can compare your piece, okay? And even if you can't read the pattern too well, you can also kind of guess and look right there. So don't be afraid to try any of my patterns, because I try to do really nice pictures so you can easily get this, okay? Now on to row 2. We're going to flip it. And we're going to skip this chain space. We're going to double crochet in the next stitch. Okay. Now we're going to chain 2. We're going to skip the chain space, skip the double crochet, and put 5 double crochets in the big chain space right there. 3, 4, and 5. At any point, pause this, because I am a very fast crocheter, okay? I've actually made 3 of these postmortems in 1 day and still had time to watch TV and hang out with my husband. So, okay, so after the first 5, we chain 1 and we put 5 more into that chain space. 3, 4, and 5. We're going to chain 2. we're just going to skip the stitch, skip the chain space, and double crochet into this one. We're going to chain 2. We're going to finish off the row by skipping 2 little chains here and double crocheting into that last one. Okay, so now we have the feet. Okay, don't forget to chain your 5 so we can turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, gonna flip it, skip the chain space. We're always going to be skipping this first chain space and putting a double crochet in this stitch. Okay, ooh, fingers. We are now going to chain 5. We're going to build out the ankles. So we're going to skip the chain space, skip the next 3 stitches. We're going to put a DC in each of the next 2 stitches. Okay, now we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip that little chain space right there and put a DC in each of the next 2 stitches. Now we're going to chain 5. We're going to skip 3, skip the chain, and DC in the next stitch. Whoop. Going to chain 2. We're going to skip the 2 chains and DC in that 3rd one right there. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so for the pattern, we're always going to skip the first chain and DC in the next one. Okay. And then for when we finish off the row, we're always going to double crochet in that stitch, skip the chain, and crochet in the little 3rd stitch, okay? So that way we always have a little border, because this way our border actually works into that last part right there, okay? So if your edges are not completely beautifully clean, don't worry, we're going to be hiding those. Okay, so now on to row 4. We're going to flip it. We're going to start it by skipping the chain space, double crocheting in the stitch, chain 5, skip the chain, double crochet in each of the next 2, chain 1, skip the chain space, and double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Chain 5, skip the chain space, DC, and then we're going to finish off the row by doing 2 and our DC. Okay. Then we skip the chain, DC in the stitch, and we are currently on row 5, and 5 and 6 are done exactly the same. Okay, so now we're going to chain 5. We're going to double crochet, we're just going to skip the chain, double crochet in each of the next 2, chain 2, and now we're going to skip the chain space, double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Finish off with our 5, skip chain, DC in the stitch, chain 2, and we're going to finish off that row. Okay, there's row 5. We're going to flip and do the exact same thing for row 6. So skip the chain, double crochet in the stitch, chain 5, skip the chain, double crochet, chain 2. We're going to skip that chain and double crochet in each of the next 2. Okay, and then we're going to finish off the row just like we have been doing. Okie dokie. Set that down while I change my page here. So we're, oh, I need to grab a drink of coffee real quick. Okie dokie. So now on to row 7. We start our row, same as always. We're going to chain 5 again. Okay. Now we're going to work the kneecaps. So we're going to chain 5, or we chained 5, we're going to skip this chain. We're going to put a DC decrease. So you put your hook in, yarn over, you have 3 loops on, you pull through 2, you yarn over and you put your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through the 3. Okay. Now we're going to chain 4, and we're going to hug the top of that stitch with a nice and tight single crochet. Okay. Let's see if we can get that there. So it just puts like a little picket type thing right there. Okay. Now we are going to chain 4. Because we're compensating for lack of this stitch and lack of this stitch. So we're going to skip this chain space and we're going to work another decrease over the next 2 stitches here. Going to chain 4 again. Once again, do a single crochet right around that top, nice and tight. Okay. Then I'll lay it down just a second to show you, but let's finish off the row. So chain 5 once more. Skip the chain. Oh, come on, baby. Double crochet in the stitch. Chain 2. Finish off our row. Okay. Now you can see we have little loops there, or kneecaps. Okay. The next row, we're going to be working into those little kneecaps. Okay, so on to row 8. Going to flip our piece. Oop, I just took out one of my things. 1, 2, 3. Oop, took out 2. Okay, we're going to start the row same as we have been. We're going to go back to our chain 5. Okay, we're going to skip the chain space and working in this little loop we created there, we're going to put 2 double crochets. Okay, and it just creates a little joint or kneecap. I'm going to chain 4. We're going to skip the chain and put 2 double crochets in the next little loop right there. Okay, now we're going to chain 5 and finish off our row. Okie-dokie. Okay. On to row 9. Flip the piece, start the piece same as we've been doing. Okay, once again we're going to chain 5. We're going to skip the chain and put a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Chain 4, skip the chain space, and double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Going to chain 5 and finish off the row. So round 10 is exactly what we just did there. So we're going to flip it, start our row once again. We are building those femurs. Chain 5, skip the chain space, double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Chain 4, skip the chain space and double crochet in each of the next 2. Chain 5 and finish off the row. Okay, now at this point I want you to lay your piece down, because this is another critical point. Just as important as our foundation first row, the legs are the next most important thing. You want to make sure that you have 4 sets of the 2 double crochets. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you have your decreases. And then you want to make sure you have 3 rows of 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3. Okay? If you miss any of these, if yours doesn't look like this, I suggest you frog now and go start this part of the video again and make sure you have all your stitches, okay? Because this does affect this little section right here. You wouldn't believe it, but this little section, if you mess up on this, you will mess up on your border, okay? So make sure you're double checking that your work looks like this, okay? So now let's go on to row 11. We're going to start it same as always. Double crochet in that stitch. We're going to chain 5. We're going to be working on the upper part of the femur. We're going to put 2 double crochets in this first stitch. Okay? We're going to put a single DC in the next stitch. We're now going to chain 4. I have 3 there. We're going to skip the chain space, put a single DC in that next stitch. We're going to put 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Okay. Now we're going to chain 5 and finish off the row. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to flip my page over, so just while I'm doing that, take a look at your piece and compare it to mine. Okay, on to row 12. I'm going to turn it, and we're going to start the row same way as we've been starting it. This time we're only going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. We're going to skip the chain space, put 2 double crochets in that first stitch. 1, 2. We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip this next stitch and we're going to put 2 double crochets in the next one. Okay? So we're going to have a little gap there. We're going to chain 1. We're going to skip the chain space, put 2 double crochets in this next stitch here. Going to chain 2, skip the next stitch, and put 2 double crochets in the next one. Okay. Now we're going to chain 3. We're going to skip the chain space and finish off the row as normal. Now on to row 13. Going to flip it and start our row just like we have been doing. Now we're going to do a chain 2. So we're going to start working the hands. Let's see if I can get my little guy here. Okay, can you kind of see where we're going here? We have the feet, we have the legs. No, I did not use this as a model to make the pattern. I just have a lot of skeletons around my house. Skulls and skeletons. None in my closet though. Okay, so we got the feet, we got the legs, you can see the little kneecaps, we got the femur, and we are starting the hip area, okay? As well as the hands in this row. Okay, let me put this little guy aside here. We'll just leave him hanging out. We'll lean him. He probably looks silly, but we'll just let him take a nap. Okay, so let's get serious now. Row 13. After we start our row like normal, we're going to chain 2. And we're going to work a 3DC cluster, okay, in this next chain space right here. So we're going to yarn over, put the loop in, or the hook in, draw up a loop, pull through 2. Yarn over, hook in, draw up a loop, pull through 2. Yarn over, stick the hook in, pull up 2 loops, or pull up a loop, put it through 2, and now there's 4. I'm going to pull through, okay? And we have a little hand. So now we're going to chain 2 once again. We're going to work a DC decrease, just like we did for the right here. We're going to work that right in these 2 stitches. Okay. Now we're going to work 2 double crochets in the next chain space. We're going to work a DC decrease over the next 2 stitches. Put a single double crochet right in the center here. We're going to put a DC decrease over the next 2 stitches here. Two double crochets in this little next chain space here. And a decrease over the next 2 spaces, or 2 stitches here. Okay. Now we're going to chain 2. We're going to put another hand in there, which is another 3D cluster. We're going to chain 2, and then we're going to finish off our row. Okay, just to recap, we started our row, chain 2, we did a 3DC cluster, chain 2, a decrease, 2 singles, a decrease, 1 double crochet, a decrease, 2 double crochets, I should say, not singles, because it's not a single crochet, it's double crochet. And let's start that again. So a 3D cluster, chain 2, a DC decrease, 2 individual DCs there, that's better. A decrease, once again, a single double crochet, a DC decrease, 2 individual double crochets, and a DC decrease. We're going to chain 2, work the 3 DC cluster, chain 2, and we're going to finish off our row. Okay, Now for row 14. Here. Okay, we're going to flip it and we're going to start row 14. Okay, we're going to start our row same as always. Skipping that chain and double crocheting in that first stitch. Now we're going to chain 3. And we're going to work a double crochet decrease, but we're going to start it in this chain and we're going to end it in this chain. Okay? So same exact thing, we're just putting it in a chain set of stitches. Started there. Finished it there. Okay. Wrist. So now we're going to chain 4. Okay. We're going to put a double crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches. We're going to do another decrease over the next 2. We are creating the top of the hips or waistline area. Okay. We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip a stitch and we're going to work a double crochet decrease over the next 2. And then do the same over the next 2 stitches. Okay, we're going to chain 4. Skip the chain space and work that weird stitch again around and form our wrist. We're going to chain 3 and we're going to finish off our row just like we have been. Okay. So we basically have a weird DC decrease, 2 double crochet decreases, we're going to skip a stitch, 2 double crochet decreases or double crochet decreases, blah 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 blah. If I can get my tongue back in my mouth. And another decrease around creating that one. Okay? And that is row 14. I'm going to turn my page real quick. Okie dokie. So now this next row we are going to be working the forearms and we're going to be closing off the hips and working the spine. Okay? Okay, so we're going to start our row, same as always. Okay. Now we are going to chain 2. And we're going to skip the chain space and put 2 double crochets in this stitch right here. If I can, if it lets me. We're going to chain 5 and we're going to skip the chain space. Okay. We're going to put a single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Now we're going to crochet in this chain space right here. We're going to put a single crochet. We're going to chain 5. You put a single crochet in the 5th chain from the hook. Okay, the pattern calls for putting it in the 4th chain, but I like the open loop look a little bit better. So you can either put it in the 4th chain or the 5th chain. Okay, this part's totally up to you. So we're putting a single crochet right there, and that single crochet closes off that loop. Okay. Now we're going to chain 5 again. And we're going to put a single crochet in that 5th chain. Okay. Now it looks a little wonky, but trust in the process. Actually, I think I put, at this point, I probably put just a still picture in the corner. So that way you can just look at it straight and see little arrows and stuff like that. Okay? So now that we got our 2 loops, I'm going to chain 2. We're going to put a single crochet around this single crochet we used to close up the loop. Okay? Now this is where nimble fingers come in handy. So after we have that single crochet, we're going to chain 4. We're going to put another single crochet right next to the last one that we made. Okay? Now we're going to put a single crochet between this loop and this loop. So right in between right there. This is where an extra pair of little itty bitty pinching hands would help. Now we're going to put around, or in this loop, around the side of the single crochet that we used to make the loop. We're going to single crochet in there. We're going to chain 4. Grab that. And we're going to put another single crochet alongside that last single crochet we just made. Now we're going to put a single crochet between this loop and this single crochet, so right in this little itty bitty space here. Okay. Now we're going to put a single crochet to finish off the spine in this big loop that we, or this chain space right here. Now before we let go, put a single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Let's finish off our row before we look. We're going to chain 5. We're going to skip the chain space and put 2 double crochets in that next stitch. We're going to chain 2. And then we're going to finish off the row, okay? One, two, three, 4, 5. Okay, let's see how we did. Okay. That little spot trips up a lot of fingers. I don't know if it's the fingers or my brain that makes everybody have issues with that. Sometimes I don't like my brain either. It's okay. You can hate my brain. It's okay. So, now let's take a breath. We did it. Okay. So now let's start row 16. We're going to flip it. We're going to start the row same as we've been doing. Okay. Now we're going to chain 3. We're going to put 2 triple crochets in these stitches. So a triple crochet here and a triple crochet here. This is finishing off the forearm. Okay. Now we're going to make the elbow. So we're going to chain 4. We're going to put a single crochet around those 2 and hug them into one. Okay, give them a big old bear hug. Make it nice and tight there. Okay. Let's see if you can see that real quick. See? Okay, now we are going to chain 5. We're going to skip the chain, skip all these, and that little itty bitty loop at the top there, that little itty bitty loop, we're going to put a slip stitch. Okay? And that just holds up the spine. Now we're going to chain 5. Skip all this one more time. Put 2 triple crochets in these stitches. So a triple crochet here and a triple crochet here. once again, we're going to chain 4 and hug those two together. Okay. Right at the top, hug them nice and tight. Okay. Now we're going to chain 3 and we're going to finish off the row. Okie dokie. Row 17 and 18 are exactly the same. Okay, so we are on now row 17. We're going to flip that. Start our row just as we've always been starting it. We are going to chain 4. We're going to skip the chain space here and we're going to put, I said 17 and 18 are exactly the same. Not quite, because we're putting the 2 double crochets in this little loop right here, the little elbow. Row 17 and 18 are very similar. Okay, now we're going to chain 3. We're going to put a double crochet in this chain space. Going to chain 2. And in this same space right here that we put the slip stitch in, we're going to work a DC together, or a DC tog. Okay? It's also known as a DC cluster, or a 2 DC cluster. Okay? However you want to call it, we're going to put that right there. I happen to like calling it a DC tog, or a 2 DC tog. Okay? So we're going to go just in that little loop, pretend that slip stitch isn't even there. Okay. We're going to be making the sternum. That's this little part right here. This little part, we're making that, okay? And the ribs all at the same time. So now we're going to chain 2 again. Put a double crochet in this chain space. We're going to chain 3. Put 2 double crochets in this next little loop right here. 1, 2. We're going to chain 4 and finish off the row. And if you have not hit that like button, please hit that like button, and please consider subscribing. I will be doing more crochet alongs, as well as if you ever wanted to do more of my patterns, more of my little skulls and skeleton patterns, you'll be able to find me if you subscribe. So please hit that like and subscribe. Okay. Now we have the arms started and we're working on the ribs. So row 18, like I said, it's very similar to row 17. Start our row the same ways we've been doing. Chain 4. Double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Chain 3, skip the chain space, double crochet in the next stitch, chain 2, we're going to put another DC together right on top of that one, continuing with that sternum right there, chain 2, double crochet in the next stitch, chain 3, put a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Chain 4 and finish off the row. You can hear my bracelets clinking. You're not going nuts. It's my bracelets. Okay. Now on to row 19. We are going to start our row, same as we've been doing. Okay. Chain 4. We're going to skip the chain space and we're going to work a DC decrease over the next 2 stitches. This is going to create the shoulder. Okay. Now we are going to chain 3. Skip the chain space, double crochet in the next stitch, chain 2, double or DC together in the next stitch, finishing off that sternum, chain 2, skip the chain space, double crochet in the next stitch, chain 3. We're going to skip the chain space and put a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Chain 4 and finish off the row. Okie dokie. I gotta crack my fingers real quick. Sorry to those who don't like that sound. Oh, my whole body creaks and cracks. Nobody really knows this about me, but I actually have lupus and Lyme disease. So I do have a little bit of health and body issues. I'm planning to talk about that a little bit more in May, because May is actually Lupus and Lyme Disease Awareness Month. So if you want to learn more, either go and do some Google searching on it, or just keep an eye out for that episode, okay, of Coffee Time. So now we are on row 20, okay? We are now doing what you could say is the collarbone area, okay? Collarbone, scapula area. Scapulas are these right here, okay? The shoulder bones right there. I actually have a pair of real scapular human shoulder bones. Yeah, they someone messaged me years and years and years ago. They're like, "Oh, you paint a lot on scapulas. Would you happen to want some human ones?" I'm like, okay. She, I believe she worked for a college, and a lot of times colleges either donate the bones, or they throw away the bones, or they sell the bones, or they, in some cases, they will even give the bones back to the family who family member donated them. Okay, these ones were for research purposes. One has a little hole in it, and stuff like that. If you want me to show them in one of my coffee times, I will be happy to pull them out of their little display box and show them to you. It's really wonderful and cool. It's almost like a butterfly wing. It's really cool. Okay, and if you want me to compare them to some of my other animal scapulas and show you, I'd be so happy to do that, because it's quite interesting and quite fun. I've actually learned more by being in the bone world and an artist with bones than I did in school. And I absolutely loved biology class. My biology teacher would actually pull me out of other classes to help on dissection days. I know. No, I'm not a serial killer. I'm not. I promise. Okay. Well, you know the saying, if they pick up roadkill or they dissect or they're taxidermists, they're going to be... No. That's just an old, you could say, a wives' tale, whatnot. Taxidermists are actually quite sane people. We're a little frayed around the edges, but we're quite sane. Okay, now let's keep going. Row 20. I hope you're getting giggles out of all this. Gotta make crocheting fun. Okay, so we're going to start the row, same as we've been doing. row 20. Okay. Now we're going to chain 5. Oop. You know what? I forgot my decrease. I was talking to you. I forgot my decrease. I got to go back now. Maybe I told you to DC in each. It's supposed to be a decrease. Okay, so if you did the same thing, just go frog it real quick. I do apologize for distracting you. You'd put the decrease there, chain 4, finish off the row. Sorry about that if I flubbed anybody up. Okay, frogs happen. Okay, now we'll start row 20. Start the row same as always. This time we're going to chain 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip the chain space and put a single decrease or a single DC in the next stitch. We're going to put 3 double crochets in this chain stitch or this chain space right here. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to put a single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the chain space. We're going to put a single crochet, a chain 5, and a single crochet in this next stitch. So we're going to single crochet, chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, put a single crochet, that same stitch there, forming a little loop. We're going to put a single crochet in the next chain space, single crochet in the next stitch, 3 double crochets in the next chain space, 1, 2, 3. We're going to put a double crochet in the next stitch. We're now going to chain 5 and finish off the row. By the way, those are the only human bones I have. Could pass it up. It was an honor to be asked that. Okay, now we are going to start row 21. So we're going to flip that over. We're going to start our row, same as we've been starting it. I just bumped my thing so it's not square. So sorry for any of those who have OCD issues. Now we're going to chain 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. We're going to skip the chain space, skip the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches, or just ignore all that and put a double crochet in that loop, a chain 5, and a double crochet in that next loop. Okay, making the under part of the chin. Then we're going to chain 7. We're going to skip all this stuff right here and finish off our row. This is the perk of not having to read the pattern and crocheting with somebody and watching them, because that way you can just put the hook same place they put the hook. Okay, row 22. We are starting the bottom jaw and working on the skull now. Okay, gonna flip it. We're gonna start our row same as we've been doing. Same old, same old. We're gonna chain 5. We're going to skip the chain space and work 7 double crochets in this loop right here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. going to chain 5 again. We're going to skip the chain space and finish off our row. Ah! Oh no! Don't you hate it when you get a knot in the middle? My dad and my uncle used to always get, my dad and his brother, my uncle, used to always get in arguments. You can never get a knot in the middle of a fishing line. My uncle kept saying, yes, you can. And my dad's like, or was it my dad said that you could get a knot in the middle of a fishing line? Or was it my uncle? Either way, they would argue about it all the time. So as you can see, I proved one of them wrong. You can get a knot. Sometimes you cannot get the knots out as easy as that, which then you have to cut it, and you have to make a nice little weird, or fix it somehow. It's the part that we all hate with threads and yarns. Okay, so now we're going to finish off row 22, same way we've been doing. Okay, now we're going to start row 23. We're going to do a row of teeth. So we're going to start our row, same as always. And we're going to, this time, chain 4. We're going to skip the chain space and work a DC tog in that first stitch. We're doing the side of the jawline. Okay. I'm going to chain 1, skip a stitch, 1 single double crochet in the next one, chain 1, skip a stitch and put a single double crochet in that one, chain 1, and work a DC together. You're going to work a DC tog right in that last stitch there. We're going to chain 4, and we're going to finish off that row. I'll lay it down for you in just a second. That way you can compare. Okay. Now you have your row of teeth. You can really start seeing the skeleton now, huh? Okay. So row 24. This is going to be the cheekbones. So we're going to start our row, same as we've been doing. And we're going to chain 3. Okay. This time we're not going to skip this chain. We're going to work a DC tog in this chain nice and tight right up against the jaw or the skull right here, okay? And if you find that you cannot make it nice and tight, you can always work it in that chain right here, okay? And if you make it nice and tight or you work it in that chain, then your cheekbone won't slide, okay? Now in the next stitch, we're going to work a half double crochet and a single crochet. Now we're going to work a single crochet in each one of the spaces here. So single crochets and the stitches. So single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet. Okay? Okay. So then in the next stitch, we're going to put a single crochet and a half double crochet. Now we're going to be putting a DC tog in this next chain. Now once again, you can either put it right up nice and tight up against, or you can open up and find chain space and put it in there, okay? Once again, it's just to prevent it from sliding. I don't like where I put my half double and my single right there. I didn't put it in the correct spot. Okay, now I will do my DC tog nice and tight up against there. Okay, and then we're going to chain 3 and we're going to finish off the row. Okay, now we have the little cheekbones. Row 25 is working the nose space as well as under the eyes. So we're going to start a row, same as we've been doing. We're going to chain 3. Now I do this row a little bit different than the pattern, just because I want it more even, okay? I'll show you when I get there. So we're going to skip the chain space, and we're going to put 2 half double crochets right in this next stitch. Okay. Now we're going to single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. We're going to make the nose by crocheting or chain 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay. We're going to skip the next stitch, put a single crochet in the next stitch. Okay. Now we're going to put a single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Now this is where I differ a little bit from my written pattern. I'm going to put a single crochet and a half double crochet in that same stitch. And then I'm going to put a half double crochet in that last stitch. To me, it just evens it out just a tad bit more, because otherwise it kind of tends to lean a little bit this way. Okay? We're going to chain 3, and we are going to finish off the row. Okay, I'm going to go over that one more time real quick. So I chained 3, 2 half double crochets in the first stitch, single crochet across the next 4 stitches. I'm going to chain 4, skip that stitch, put a single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, and in the next stitch it's a single crochet as well as a half double crochet. And then in the last stitch, it's a half double crochet. I'm going to chain 3, and we're going to finish off our row. Okay. Now we are on row 26, making the eye sockets. Start our row, same as we've been doing. This time we're only going to chain 2. So 1, 2. And we are going to skip the chain space and put a DC together in that first stitch right here, okay? Now we're going to chain 4, skip all these stitches, and put a half double crochet in this little loop here, this little chain space. Okay? Now we're going to chain 4 once again. We're going to skip all these stitches and put a 2 DC tog in that last stitch. Okay. Now we are going to, if I can get my hook back in there, we're going to chain 2 and finish off the row. Okay. Now for row 27, I've been doing mine. I'm a little lazy, so instead of the DC, I do a single crochet. You will see. It really does work the same. So you can follow the pattern, do a double crochet or the single crochet. It's okay. Just follow my shortcut right here. So we're going to start the same way we've been starting it. Okay, we're going to chain 2. Now you can you have to skip the chain space, and in this next stitch either work a double crochet, or I altered it to make a single crochet. I just single crochet across the whole thing. Okay, So I put a single crochet in there. You can put a double crochet just like the pattern I have written in the pattern. It's all good. Okay, now we want 5 single crochets in this chain space. We want another 5 single crochets in this chain space. Now if you're following the pattern and you put a double crochet here, put a double crochet here. Otherwise, if you put a single crochet in this stitch, put a single crochet here, okay? I'm going to put a single crochet. I'm going to chain 2 and I'm going to finish off that row. I warned you, I differed from my written pattern just a tad. Okay, I'm going to flip my page over right here so I can make sure I stay on. Oh, I guess I didn't. Okay, let me go grab that piece. I have notes everywhere here. I want to make sure I'm telling you the right rows. Okay. So we are on row 28. This is going to be the top of the skull. So we're going to flip it, start our row, same as we've been starting it. This time we're going to chain 3. Okay? We're going to skip this chain space, and we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch here. Okay? Now we're going to work 5 triple crochets in this stitch. So we're going to skip the 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. We're skipping 4 stitches. We're going to put 5 triples in the next stitch. Three, 4, and 5. Okay, now we're going to put 5 more triple crochet stitches in the next stitch right here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now we're going to skip the next 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and put a slip stitch in that last stitch right there. Now I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to finish off the row, same as we've been finishing off the row. Okay. Now, row 29, I once again differ from the pattern, just because I find it makes it a little tighter. When I first made the pattern, it works perfectly. The pattern works absolutely perfect. So go by the pattern, works perfect. But as I kept crocheting more and more and more of these, at the time of the video, I think I'm up to 185 of these I've made, maybe more. Yeah. So I've kind of streamlined it a little bit better. Okay. So it's one of those things, if I knew then what I knew now type things. Okay. So on to row 29. Like I said, mine's going to differ just a little bit. So we're going to flip it and we're going to start the row same as we've been doing. Okay. I'm going to chain 2. We're going to skip the next 3 stitches. So the slip stitch, 2 stitches, and then double crochet in the next stitch. Now where I differ from the pattern is it says to chain 6. I chain 4. Okay, and then I skip the next 1, 2, 3, 4 stitch, or skip the next 3 stitches, and I double crochet in the next. Okay, just made them a crown. Chain 2, gonna skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and the chain space, and we're going to finish off the row. Okay, one last row. Gonna flip it. We're gonna, you can really, I hope you don't hear my stomach growling, because I hear it. Okay, going to start the row same as we have been starting it. Okay, now we are going to chain 4. Actually, I chain 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip the chain, skip the chain, skip the chain, and we are going to actually finish off the row. Come on. We're going to chain 3, and we're going to prep for our border stitches. Okay? So, I'm going to call part 1 done. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Okay? And if you want to own your own copy, which I do encourage because it does help me out to keep my artistry going, because all the profits go right into my art. Please go see my Ravelry or my Etsy store and purchase the pattern. Or if you just want to give me a little tip, you can purchase me a cup of coffee in my Linktree link down below. Okay, I'm going to call this part done. I'm going to go grab a bite to eat, and I will see you when I make the border round. Till then, have a good day.